What's going on, guys? Kalipa's Tech here, coming back at you with another video. This is camera tips and tricks for the Motorola Moto G Stylus 5G. In this video, I'm going to be showing you some different tips and tricks for this phone's camera that you might not know about yet. I do want to ask you to go ahead and hit that subscribe button. It helps out the channel a lot. That being said, let's get into the video. So the first thing I want to show you is a quick way to open your camera. This feature is actually not activated by default, so I'm going to show you how to enable it from the settings. So first things first, we're going to go to our settings menu, system, gestures, and double press power key. Mine is set to launch camera because I did it already before this video. But by default, it's going to be set to launch assistant. So if you want to use this method to open the camera, then all you need to do is switch it from assistant to launch camera and you'll be good to go. Once this feature is activated, all you need to do is double click the power key like this and the camera is going to open up. It's really cool because no matter where you are on your phone, you can access your camera really easily with the tap of a button, or I guess the tap of two buttons technically, but you know what I mean. It's nice because you won't have to go to your home screen to get to your camera, so that means if there's a quick moment you want to capture, you can do it that much easier. The next thing I'm going to show you is how to change the aspect ratio of your photos. You might be in a situation where you want to take a 16:9 photo, for example, or something like that for a more specific purpose. So what you're going to do is go to settings, and right here where it says photo size, you're going to hit that, and you're going to be able to choose between any of these different ratios as well as what you want the resolution to be. This is nice because it gives you some control over how your photo turns out without having to edit the photo after the fact. The next thing I'm going to show you is how to access your macro camera. This is a pretty easy feature to use, but if you're new to Android or smartphones in general, you might not know how to do it. So all you need to do is hit this little flower icon right here. And again, in case you're new to smartphones, pretty much every phone that has a macro camera is going to have this same little icon, and that's always going to be the icon for a macro camera. I want to say almost always, about 99% of the time. There are some phones where it looks a little weird and it's a little more confusing, and it's not always going to be in the same spot, but for this specific device, that's all you need to do. And as this little note says, make sure you're within 4 centimeters of your subject, and that way the photo is going to turn out right. So for example, this is about the distance you're going to want to be in order to get a good picture with the macro camera. And there we go, looking real good. Similar to the macro camera, in fact actually more of the complete opposite, I'm going to show you how to get to the ultra wide camera. All you need to do is hit this little 0.5 right here and it's going to turn on the ultra wide camera. With the ultra wide camera, you'll be able to take wide angle photos that can be really useful in situations like group photos. Maybe you're taking a picture of a larger object or a larger room or some landscape, whatever the case may be. Having an ultra wide camera is really nice, especially the 8 megapixel ultra wide camera this phone has. The next thing I'm going to show you is yet another way to access your camera without actually opening the camera app. That's one thing I really like about this phone. There's no shortage of shortcuts. So once again, for whatever reason, these cool features are not enabled by default. So I'm going to show you how to make sure yours is enabled. So we're going to go to settings, system, gestures, quick capture, and make sure that this is toggled on. Once the feature is activated, all you need to do to open your camera is go like this. I will say, if you're doing this for the first time, it is a little tricky, so it might not work at first. Once you get the hang of it, it is really easy and probably even faster than double tapping the power key. But like all of these gestures, it does take some getting used to. Now we've gone over a couple different ways to actually access the camera itself, but now I'm gonna show you an alternate way to actually take a picture. So we're gonna go to settings, and toggle on tap anywhere to capture. As the description implies, with this feature activated, you can take a picture by literally tapping anywhere. So I'm just gonna go like this, and there we go. the picture was just taken. It's really that easy. And this can be really useful if you're taking a photo like a selfie or something from an awkward angle and don't have two hands to take the picture. It can be real nice, but it can also get really annoying if you're trying to focus on something or take a more complex shot at a complicated angle. Then you might want to turn it off. And as you probably could guess, all you need to do to turn it off is go back to the settings and then toggle it right back off, and you'll be back to normal where you can tap on the screen to change the focus and exposure instead. So as I've been taking pictures with this phone, you probably have noticed this watermark right here. And the watermark is kind of cool in my opinion, especially when I'm taking photos with this phone specifically for the purpose of this video. But if you're taking pictures for social media or something where you're going to use the photos for yourself, you're probably not going to want some big watermark with the Motorola logo on the corner of all your photos. So I'm going to show you how to get rid of it. We're back on the actual camera itself. We're going to go to settings, watermark, and all you need to do is turn it off. If you do like the watermark, you can also put a signature in there so it can actually personalize it. But if you don't, you can just leave it off. And once you turn it off, it's not going to come back on by itself unless you turn it on. So you won't have to do this every time you open your camera to take a picture. And now, as you can see, now that I've toggled it off, the watermark is no longer there. The next thing I'm going to show you is something called active photos. If you're coming from a different smartphone, you might have heard this by another name. Some manufacturers, depending on the phone you had, will call this live photos. Basically what it is a big multi-shot of photos taken over a few tenths of a second or something like that. That's basically animated, and then you can go into an active photo and choose shots within it. So let me show you what it looks like. It's a lot easier to explain once you've seen it. So we're gonna hit this little arrow right here, and where it says active photos, you see I have it off. I'm gonna set it in the on position, and now I'm just gonna take a picture. And as you probably noticed, I did intentionally move the phone as I was taking that photo. So now we're gonna go back to the photo library where we're gonna see the active photo. And you can see there's a split-second little animation here. And then if you hit the dots up here, you can actually see every little frame within that active photo and choose the best one out of all of them. This feature can be really cool if you're trying to get a shot at a specific angle and don't know exactly what the angle is. I personally think it's sort of annoying just because I pretty much know the angles that I'm taking photos from, and I don't really need anything like that. But if you do like to do it that way, or if you haven't tried it before, I definitely recommend checking it out and seeing for yourself if it's something you would like to use, because everybody's taste and style when it comes to taking photos is going to be a little different. The next thing I'm going to show you is the gesture selfie function. Now, I'm going to be honest here, I'm really not a big fan of this feature and it rarely works for me, but some people, in fact probably most people, are way better at using it than I am. So I'm going to show you how to enable it so you can try it out for yourself. So we're going to go to settings and activate the gesture selfie feature. And with the gesture selfie feature activated, all you need to do is go to your front-facing camera, show your palm in front of the camera, and in theory, it'll work. Now, I say in theory because I rarely am able to get it to work, but if it works for you, it can be a really convenient way to take a photo without having to press the shutter. The last thing I'm going to show you is a feature called Selfie Photo Mirror. Now, by default, when you take a selfie, it's all going to be angled the opposite way that you would expect, that you would see in the frame. But Selfie Photo Mirror actually sets it up so when you take a selfie, it's going to appear in your photos the exact same way you see it in the frame. So to get to that, we're going to go to settings one more time and simply turn this on. And then whenever you take a selfie, whatever you see in the frame is gonna be what shows up in your photos. As the feature name suggests, it will be mirrored, but I personally like it better because then when I see something in the frame, I like to know that it's gonna show up exactly like that instead of having to think what the angle is actually gonna look like once I take the picture. but I suggest you play around with it and see what works best for you, because it's going to be different for everyone depending on your personal preference. But those were my camera tips and tricks for the Motorola Moto G Stylus 5G. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you found this information useful as well. If you want to learn more about the phone itself, you can check out my full review of the phone on the channel. And for more cool tips and tricks for this phone, definitely check out my beginner's guide and my tips and tricks video as well. But that's it for this video. Don't forget to leave a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel, and I will see you in the next video.